Today I would like to speak about a very special subject. It's quite complex because it involves a lot of factors, and I think it's been also in discussion for such a long time now by different people from different disciplines, and that's the veil. The veil, or the cover that many ladies use in Orient, and especially, of course, if we talk about the people that come, or the ladies that come from a Muslim background. I'm not going today to talk about the religious aspect about it, because even though it's a very important part, but this is not the origin of the veil, first of all. And then the second is that there is not much to say about it. If this is actually something that women wear because of religious reason, then that's it. If you want to conform to your religion, you need to wear it, and there is actually no further explanation. Maybe then we or some would come up with the argument that this also helped to protect women. They would be sending the message that they are not interested or looking forward to be approached by other members, especially, of course, male members from that community or that society, and that's why many would use it also as a protection to keep women safer within their community. But in any case, as I said, I would not approach this subject from this point. What I will do today is that I will take you deeper in time. I will take you to the time of the civilizations in Mesopotamia. These are the civilizations that developed between the two rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates, where today it would be the countries that we know as mainly Iraq, and then part of Syria, as well as southern Turkey. If you go and check about these civilizations, you would notice something interesting when it comes to clothing. We would notice that the more people are higher in the hierarchy, or their position is actually higher in that hierarchy, they would be covering more parts of their body. So you would have the first layer where the people would cover only their intimate parts, and then it goes to covering the lower half of their body, and this would be the soldiers, and then the more it goes, they will cover their chest as well as back. When it comes to the kings or the rulers, then they would cover even their head. Another interesting thing is that part of the humiliation of these leaders, or when they do offerings to their gods, one way to do that was actually by taking off parts of their clothes. So the king would take whatever is covering his chest, for example, and back, and then keep just the covering of the lower body when entering the temple. And this is actually a sign, this is already an offering, this is a sign of humiliation in front of God. So he does this. Why I went back to that point? Because this is actually stayed in the consciousness of people in the Orient, especially here in Arabia. Culturally speaking, and through centuries, millenniums and centuries, people in Arabia would consider covering as a mark of distinction, a mark of respect. If you cover your body, or the more you cover your body, it means that you're richer, and that looks also obvious because, especially in the past, the textile would cost any fabrics in order to have it, and then export it, buy it, etc. All this include a lot of potential when you're talking economically. So this part was there, And because of that, it was still linked even till the very recent days. And here I'm talking about today's cultures that we live with in Arabia. Now, obviously, this concept was there for millenniums and centuries, and when Islam came over 1,000 years ago, that was there, even though at least in general, the main idea was not to cover the parts of the body, not to provoke, or even to conform to a certain concept within their community. It was in most of the time only linked to these noble women in the society. These are the women that would be more covered and wouldn't show the other parts of their body that the other women in the society can. And this was a way to distinguish them. What does this leave us with? In fact, it was always linked to respect, first of all, to the women that are wearing a veil or covering parts of their body. And obviously when Islam came, it was more generalized. It was like not just these noble ladies are the ones that are requested to wear the veil, but everyone from the believers also need to. And here another reason was introduced, because then it keeps the hearts of the people within the community more pure. In fact, and this is a concept that you can see in the Arabian culture, because what we are agreeing that we can see with no breaching to nor the cultural nor religious values of the societies in Arabia today is the face of women, the hands and the feet. Some would go to the point of covering them completely, but mostly this is because of cultural reasons, even though sometimes it would be shown as a religious precaution or something, or a way to show that we are more dedicated to the religion. But but the effect of this is that in Arabia people are more sensitive, I would say, or observative of detail in Arabia. And because of all of that, the men, at least, and of course everyone in the society, are more focused on the face. When men usually notice a woman in Arabia, the face attracts their attention, because in a way maybe this is what they can see, and because of that they would be the ones that would notice the color of the eye, the shape of the nose, the shape of the lips, the cheeks. All this would actually be the main attraction of their attention when they look at a woman. Because we know that in every society there are norms of the attraction between men and women is the most common attraction that we see worldwide, and specifically in Arabia. Even though religions was there, this was never opposed. It was always encouraged when it goes on through the legitimate way. And because of this, in poetry or in the Arabic language, we find actually hundreds of words that would be used to describe the shape and color of the eye, the shape of the nose, and all these details that I just mentioned now, and distinguish the differences between them. Um, this or this highlight on this part of the body it played a very important role within the society, because it took part of the sensuality, great part of it, so people would be more romantic in a way, and this is what we can find in their poetry in Arabia. And for centuries it was actually the biggest highlight, the way to express one's feeling, one's thoughts, and there was not much of censorship in it. So when we go through their thought in poetry, then we get closer to the point. There are actually many examples that I can use in poetry, but I've chosen one because I thought it is really representative of the idea that I want to share with you. So here the poet says, "I like pride and humiliation in my beloved one." So yeah, obviously he expressed that he likes the pride, and the pride was a very important part of people in Arabia in general, men and women. They always show that they are proud of their tribes, their country, their belongings, their strength, their beauty, etc. And humiliation, obviously he likes also that his beloved one do not be always pride and kind of arrogant on him, but also submissive at times. And the cunningness, innocence that doesn't do any harm, the promise and the reproof. The promise refers here to give promises, keep the promises, and then the reproof when these promises are not kept or are broken. Vulgarity in beauty makes it undesirable, and if not for the eyelashes, the beauty of the eye won't be complete. This is a very beautiful verse, because here it shows a little bit what I was trying to say. Maybe it would save me much of time if I started with it directly. He says that if the eye doesn't have the eyelashes, which covers part of it in a way, you wouldn't, or its beauty would not be as it is. I don't uncover the covered nor cover the uncovered. So here he's happy to see whatever we're willing to show, and he doesn't actually look forward to see any other parts that are hidden. And then he concludes this piece of poetry with, "Hey Sana Gazelle, the eye tears told us would that the nights don't disperse our union." Now obviously it's not the gazelle that he's in love with, but in poetry in Arabia, sometimes we refer to girls, to ladies, as gazelles, and this is of course one of the metaphoric usages. I will let you see how this actually what does this give in a song, because this is a very famous song that we have, especially in the southern regions of Arabia. And then I would just conclude.
في البراء والوعد والمعتوب، تعجبني الكبرياء والتلف المحبوب، والشيطنة في البراء والوعد والمعتوب، والابتذال في الجمال ما يجعله مرغوب، والعين لولا الرموش جمالها مخدوش، انا الافتيش مغطى ولا غطي على مفتوح، يا ليل دانا لداني.
So as we saw, the concept of covering is linked to respect. It has also this concept of pride. So the pride lady is not easy accessible. It has her reserves, and this is because she value herself, and this makes her actually more valuable in the eye of the men within these societies. Thank you.